Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bet the Edge. It's Vaughn alongside the well capper, Drew Disnick, and thanks to everyone watching on our NBC Sports YouTube channel. Coming up today, talk about the New York Knicks because everybody's betting them, Drew, because they pulled off a trade for Mikal Bridges. Plus, we're going to handicap the AL Cy Young race since we're at the midpoint of the season, as well as favorites at Wimbledon before Friday's draw, and what we're eyeing up in the futures market in the AFC West because the NFL is so close, my friend. How are you doing today on this beautiful Wednesday, just hours before the NBA draft takes place?
Yeah, sweating the info chains, man. Everybody's got it, something different. It's like the years of kind of everything coming together and the cloak and dagger stuff being right feel well in the rearview mirror. So gonna be sweating this draft.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement with you. I've been also getting a lot of the Euro Soccer League in there. Have you been betting any Euro League at all?
Yeah. It's been a weird group stage overall. It always
But
is, it always is because basically everybody with a pulse qualifies, and then they work it out. But the current layout of the tournament is very lopsided. What you got, like 5 of the top 6 pre-tournament faves all on the top right now. So path wide open for a team like Austria to make a semifinal. England, obviously the beneficiaries so far, even though they have looked horrible. So I have no idea what next week is going to hold for Euro 2024.
yeah, great handicap there. The main thing I'm looking for is unders. I feel like there's been so many low-scoring games. I mean, 1-0, 2-0, 1-1, 0, a lot of 0-0 games lately too. So, yeah, I've been playing a lot of unders and making through. But, of course, a lot of sports going on. But let's start in the NBA, which just ended but continues to intrigue us every single day. The New York Knicks and Brooklyn Nets made a deal, Drew. Mikal Bridges to New York. They are definitely star-studded now. The NBA title odds went from 16-1 to 9-1 at MGM, and to win the East went from plus 750 down to plus 450. So obviously, given everything they gave up, what do you grade and look about? What do you think about the trade? And would you be betting in to the Knicks futures price?
Well, I'm glad he's your guy, Mikal Bridges. That's the top, and now he's not my Mikal Bridges. No, in seriousness, it's really tough to have an immediate strong opinion of a trade because there are so many incomplete factors. Like, if the Knicks end up perennially a top 2 team and this is consistent, these are all of these first round picks are in the late 20s for the duration of this the what they've given up here, then yeah, okay, like that's not crazy. But I am definitely not in the camp of rating Mikal Bridges as a guy that I have as kind of meaningful needle mover in the NBA. And all the Knicks have really gotten here is redundancy because he has a lot of crossover for a lot of guys who are already doing things really well for the Knicks. And so, this doesn't, to me, move them into contention with the Celtics, although I completely see the vision, right? Like in terms of concept, like having a team with this many, rangy, lengthy guys that can switch and, kind of really try to match length with length in some rotation aspects with the Celtics. You're going to have to get through the Celtics to get to the finals if that's your ultimate goal. And Bridges may have been the best guy that could really help them do that. But I thought the emergence from Isaiah Hartenstein this year was pretty amazing. And now they basically can't possibly afford to bring him into the fold, back into the fold. So he's gone. OG Anunoby, I'm assuming that they're going to find a way to retain him. They gave up a lot for him. So if he just walks, that would be a disaster. But they're a really good team on paper that's going to win a ton of regular season games as long as they stay healthy. But, kind of here's my key. Here are 2 key thoughts. Number one, is Mikal Bridges worth 5 firsts, even if they are late 20s? For me, the answer is no. And then second of all, do you now have an issue potentially with, is this risky? Like, how are you backfilling now with talent? As you have a specific vision of a team where you run these guys into the ground with as much as you play them. Thibodeau potentially, kind of putting these guys into, situations where they're not at their best late in the season or you don't have youth to kind of help give them spells to load manage through the regular season. Like, this is definitely going to make this a very precarious experiment now for trying to win basketball long term with no first round picks forever. And if it was for a player that I had higher regard for, maybe we were talking, having a different tone of this, but I don't think Mikal Bridges is a huge difference maker. Now, I will also kind of qualify this two ways. You ready? Number one, Mikal Bridges has not looked anywhere close to the level we saw from him in Phoenix. And the big difference was there was lots of talent around him in Phoenix and nothing in Brooklyn. Okay. And so if you're telling me that was a huge aspect to why his performance regressed so significantly because he was asked to be an alpha and he's not, okay. Now as a role player, is he going back to that level? Sure. The other kind of qualifier is like, I'm holding this up against the likes of the Caruso deal that the Thunder made. And I'm like, what in the world? They gave up no future assets, even though they have a war chest. And, you move off of Giddey, who didn't necessarily have a spot in that roster. And you got a player with a similar skill set who maybe even is better at his specific point of attack defensive roles. So, to me, if we're holding up what the Thunder did and what the Knicks did, I like the Thunder move substantially better. This could all change as, Mikal Bridges gets weaved into a role where he's asked to do less offensively, and he's allowed to do more defensively. But a lot of redundancy now with OG Anunoby, kind of don't love seeing Hartenstein walk.
Yeah, this is the third straight day that someone's now brought up the Alex Caruso trade out of nowhere to me, Drew. So why'd you got to do it to me as a Bulls fan? Did not want that to happen. I thought Zach LaVine and DeRozan would be out of here by now, but now we're getting Caruso for Giddey. God, oh my gosh. Anyways, I agree with a lot of what you said. I do see the vision for the New York Knicks, and I think one thing that's very important because you were saying Tom Thibodeau, his players are never really fully healthy. The second half of the season, down the stretch in the playoffs. Mikal Bridges, 6 years, he's only missed 19 games. Like, he's played 4 full seasons with them. So the durability is there. And now that you said, another lengthy guy on defense, he can shoot as well. They bring back OG. I see the vision. I would group them here. And I was going to ask you because we had the graphic up here for the NBA Finals odds a few minutes ago. And when you look at the tiers of those teams ranked there, do you agree, though, that the Knicks should be lumped with the Mavericks, the Timberwolves, the Thunder, the Bucks, the Sixers? Or are we going to try and peg them down? Are we just getting too excited about this trade?
I'm fine putting them on or above the Bucks. that I take no exception with.
You're done with the Bucks.
And in terms of just overall pop probability, you really only have the Celtics, at least for now. And this is all kind of again qualified because we don't know what the Sixers' final form looks like. We don't know what the Bucks' final form looks like either, by the way. If they move off some of their aging veterans and get some interesting young pieces somehow, then maybe we have a different opinion there. Sixers with a legit third banana are interesting. The key reason why it doesn't look right number wise to see them on the same tier as the likes of the Nuggets. Mm-hmm. Is because the Nuggets are specifically handicapped with the conference, right? Like the fact that the Knicks are probably the clear second choice right now in the East gives them a little bit of a title bump. Meanwhile, it's such a more difficult path right now to get to the finals out of the West, which is going to hurt the Nuggets' chances and it's going to hurt their number. I think that's why on one hand, you hold them side by side number wise, and you're like, this can't be. But I think the math is not crazy. And, I think the key question really for the Celtics, and are they going to come back to earth really revolves around health and availability of their star players. Porzingis, we know now is going to have ankle surgery and be unavailable to start the season. I don't think it's realistic to expect him to be healthy for any season for the rest of his career. And they do have a little bit of a crisis now in terms of who are their bigs that they're rolling with through the regular season and into the playoffs. I think ultimately anything happens to the Celtics, be it injury or just in general player availability, then the Knicks would be your second choice. But boy, oh boy, does the gap not feel as narrow as the market is making it right now.
Yeah, I think size, length, and physicality are going to be the 3 keys to beating the Celtics next year without a fully healthy roster. The Knicks are definitely building up to have all 3 of those things with their starting 5, if not, 8 or 9 man rotation. So final question, Drew, before we get out of here. If I had to force you to pick one, the Nuggets at plus 750 or the Knicks at plus 900 to win the NBA title?
Yeah, Nuggets in a heartbeat, I think.
Nuggets. Yeah.
What about
All
you?
right. Let's cool down. Yeah, Nuggets, 100%. Just making sure. See, so all listeners know, all listeners and viewers know, we're keeping it realistic here. We're not digging into this hype too much here.
Yeah, because the
But
West looks good on paper, but what if it's not? What if all like
yeah.
what if things don't go right for the way that they're building it at OKC? What if the a lot of the good quote unquote good teams in the West right now are because they have aging superstars. Like that could go sideways real quick. And all of a sudden the Nuggets could stand alone as the clear best in the West, in which case plus 750 is going to look like a steal come January, February. We'll see.
Yeah, I would take a few teams in the West before the Knicks, but we will see how the rest of the offseason go in the draft. So a lot of good stuff there. Also, great stuff coming up this weekend. The toughest cycling race of the year is back, Drew. The Tour de France takes the world's top cyclists on a mountainous 21-day journey. You can stream the exclusive coverage all race long starting this Saturday, June 29th at 6:30 a.m. Eastern, only on Peacock. And I'm bringing the dog onto camera here because she will not leave me alone. I got a little chihuahua with me for the next few days.
She's excited for the Tour de France, man. The kickoff stage, by the way, they're launching from Florence, Italy. So if you have an affinity for watching road races through the beautiful hills of Tuscany, you'll enjoy the first couple of stages of the Tour de France this year, which departs from Florence, Italy.
Love to hear that. Italy is one of the places I would love to visit. Got a large Italian heritage. My great grandma was full Italian, so she always wanted to go, never went. But I'm gonna hold it down for the family one day, Drew. Just got to save a lot of money and sleep for a lot of hours on that flight. Let's talk about the AL Cy Young market because we talked about a lot of markets the past few episodes we were together, but I think this one is another situation where I'm going to keep beating the drum. The favorite has been the favorite all season long, and I don't think we're going to see a guy go ring to ring as the favorite here. That's Tarik Skubal at plus 185. I got a ticket on Corbin Burns already. 2 tickets on him, actually, plus 300. Then I also got him around plus 450. What say you in this market? Is there anybody you're eyeing up besides the two, or you think this is a 2-man race?
Well, I kind of want a long shot, but I again, I'm like struggling to really figure out who that is. Skubal, the kind of underlying metrics look bad for him. And I don't say, I mean, bad in context of being able to hold on to this award. And he's been awesome. And I would like to see him continue to thrive, but, yeah, to me, it looks like wire to wire for Skubal is a dream. Corbin Burns has not hit sort of his projections to this point in the season. He's underperformed. And I think if you get you could very well wake up in September and we could be talking about how, wow, the Orioles did it. They ran down the Yankees. Like, are they the best team in baseball? They could, really get some of the attention from the awards markets. And, he's their best pitcher, so he would definitely get some of that credit. So I could see it. But I think ultimately it's likely to be, a race that has turmoil between now and the finish line. So if you have any long shots that you think I should add to my portfolio, numbers in that, particularly 4-digit numbers right now, I'm listening.
Yeah, that's a problem. At the beginning of the season, we talked about there was a trio of guys, Logan Gilbert, Luis Castillo, and George Kirby. The 3 Mariners, if that team over projects to where we think they could be, then maybe one of those guys sorts himself out, but I'm not seeing it. I mean, Logan Gilbert at 12-1 right now. I actually do not want any piece of that. Castillo at 22-1, don't want that either. So I try to look elsewhere. And cool, Ragans, he's had a great season for Kansas City, but it's a situation too where it's like I just can't see in this universe or the multiverse him winning Cy Young this season, Drew. And I agree with what you said. Like Corbin Burns and the Orioles, they could catch the Yankees. Right now, I believe they're around 4-1 to win the American League. I still think that's a great price on them and a price worth taking because they have so many hitters as well. And I think they're pitching pretty dangerous too. But there was a little dis going on between some former teammates talking about the trade with Corbin Burns, how they got the superstar out of that deal, Drew. And you know what? Corbin Burns and his teammates, they said, no, we got the real superstar here. But Skubal did do something important last night, Tuesday night, I should say. He beat the Phillies. First time Detroit's beat them since 2019. So his odds did drop from plus 225 earlier this week down to plus 185, but Corbin Burns has not pitched. So I would just say rock with Corbin Burns, man. He's literally gone 6 innings or more every single start since April 26th. Every single start. The guy's epitome of a quality pitcher in all of baseball. But unless you have anything else, rumor has it you got some grass tennis to be talking about, huh?
Well, I wanted to get your opinion on two guys. You tell me if because like right now the board does not conform whatsoever to current WAR standings. Tanner Houck is your WAR leader with at 3.6. I'm looking at Fangraphs WAR, by the way, not Baseball Ref WAR. You know that to me that's more useful because it's based on his underlying xFIP, which is of course again fielding independent pitching, and you know it's telling you that he's kind of in the driver's seat, at least with innings pitched so far and performance to, continue to be in the discussion. The other guy that kind of doesn't comport with price is Cole Ragans, who's he's got your third highest WAR generated so far for pitchers in the AL, and he's 15-1. Like, I guess I'm just not exactly sure why the market is still holding Skubal up like he's number one, going to be able to continue to replicate what we've already seen, where he was absolutely unstoppably good in April and a little bit less good in May, and now kind of there are clear underlying things in terms of velocity and bat ball and you name it, that have you kind of scratching your head that you're going to get anywhere close to what you saw from Skubal in April again in any given month this year. So I'm not sure I can entirely understand why the market is a little cool on some of these guys down the board, and I don't know, either Houck or Ragans kind of spike your interest as guys who have already banged a ton of WAR.
Yeah, well, for Cool Reagan's, his main issue why he's 15-1 is his record's 5-5 this season. He's just took a handful of losses, but that's what's going to happen when you pitch for the Royals. In general, I mean, his ERA is impressive. It's barely over 3. So, I mean, he's the third, I believe at the time of taping, he was third or fourth in strikeouts entering today. So, obviously, strikeout-heavy pitcher, but, when you make contact, he looks a little foolish. But for Skubal, I mean, he has all the numbers. He's top 5, top 10 across the board in pretty much everything this season. I mean, wins, ERA, strikeouts, whip, opponent batting average. It's hard to really pick apart what he does, but in his bad outings, I mean, like Atlanta and Houston, 2 of his last 3 starts, I mean, he let up 8 earned runs, 9 runs total in those games, had 9 strikeouts, barely made it to the 6th inning in one of those starts. So I do see the wheels starting to fall off for him. He did look good against the Phillies, but let's be honest, the Phillies either striking out 7 to 10 times against somebody, or they're just, crushing the ball through. So I'd rather have Skubal for sure, even at a shorter price. But I still think Corbin Burns is the best guy to be betting on right now. But that's just my wheelhouse. I'd rather go to yours now. Talking about little tennis action. Shall we start on the women's or the men's side?
Let's go men's. The women's is going to be more interesting, I think. The men's really only has about 4-ish players, 3.5-ish players who could realistically win this title. And, we don't really have a very firm or solid market so far because we don't really know if Djokovic is going to play. The most accomplished grass tennis player by margin in terms of titles on this surface in this tournament is Djokovic. And he is right now 4-1 because there was a lot of speculation he was not going to be available. He, of course, tore his meniscus at Roland Garros in round 4. And no one has gotten like very detailed information on exactly what he had done procedure-wise in the subsequent days following that tear. It may have just been a little cleanup. It may have been something more significant. We do not know. It was not a repair to where they went in there and stitched it up and put him on crutches, and we know that because he's already back on the grass practicing. And if some of the reporting and some of the breathless speculation was overstated, and Djokovic is very much fine and good to go for this tournament, then 4-1 is a very tasty price because he is very clearly on the same level as a Sinner or an Alcaraz in terms of championship pedigree, even though we haven't seen very much from him this year. That tells you he still has the goods. He will be seeded second if he plays in this tournament, and he will have a relatively soft draw against a lot of players who just don't have a ton of experience on grass. So I had an appetite to bet Djokovic to win this title all summer long until he got hurt, and 4-1 is sort of staring at me like, this is an opportunity. Take advantage of this. So the top two guys in the draw, and in terms of odds, are Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz. Sinner will be your first overall seed in this one, and he has a grass title under his belt from last week. He won the Halle tournament in Germany. That, of course, used to be Roger Federer's stomping ground, where he was just absolutely dominant there for a decade. I think he won 10 titles. We talked about this a little bit, where there's kind of fun storytelling speculation that there is a curse of winning Halle. If you're not Roger Federer and you win that title, going back to like 2001, you have an early exit at Wimbledon. But I think Sinner is high enough quality and will have a good enough draw as the one seed that I do not expect him to be an easy out of this tournament. And honestly, I love his game for this surface. He is your Australian Open champion. Australian Open is a very fast hard court surface. This is somewhat similar to what you're going to get at Wimbledon in terms of being able to dominate with serve, and some of the highlights of his performances at Halle were just awesome. Like, he's feeling it right now. Alcaraz, your defending champion, he won the French Open playing at about 75% of his peak. I think it would be somewhat shocking if he got right back into this tournament and backed up both the French Open title and last year's Wimbledon with a second. So I'm a bit against Alcaraz. He went to Queens. He got beat by Draper. It wasn't an especially impressive performance from him. He doesn't really have the reps on grass this season. So I'm fine kind of putting a line through Alcaraz at price. And then this next tier of guys, none of them have done anything particularly this year to warrant realistic consideration. And that includes Zverev, that includes Medvedev, that includes Hurkacz. Berrettini is a great grass player, but he has not really broken through this year, which leaves us to, if you want some long shots, the guys to circle are Jack Draper and Alex de Minaur. These are two players that I think could very well win their quarters if they do not have to go up against a Sinner or a Djokovic. And I think their prices in the 16 to 20 range are interesting to me because they have the exact right game to do well here. And they have put in some very impressive tennis performances so far in this calendar, particularly Jack Draper, your Queens champion. Mentioned Sinner winning Halle. Didn't mention the winner of Queens, which is US's own Tommy Paul. Tommy, 40-1 is a big number. He is very capable of making a semifinal here. And his game, again, also very, kind of perfect hand in glove for succeeding in grass. And so, again, like draw dependent, he's very live, I think, to go deep into this tournament. So in summary, on the men's side, it's probably going to be Djokovic or Sinner realistically. And if Djokovic is not hurt, then Sinner is an easy and obvious expected to win, in my opinion. And then looking for some long shots to do some damage, including Draper, de Minaur, and Tommy Paul.
Love the breakdown. Djokovic at 4-1 is a good price. And I mean, I'm a man that believes in curses, Drew. So you saying Sinner's the guy. Plus 160, he's out. Woo!
The
Good
curse
luck,
of Halle.
my friend.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
The Madden curse had me avoiding guys in the game for a while because I believed in that so much. So let's see. I'm going to root for Sinner, man. I want to see it happen. So what's going on the women's side? Can I be rooting for Coco Gauff at 7-1? Is that worth a bet?
Absolutely, you can. You can. You want to root for Coco Gauff? I'm gonna stop.
Yeah.
Okay. So the 2024 women's side is flat Earth. Anyone can win this. And I'm not just saying that because last year anyone did win this. It was, of course, a title for Marketa Vondrousova. Would you be surprised, Vaughn, to know that heading into last year's Wimbledon, Marketa Vondrousova had played 2 matches in her life on grass, or had 2 wins, something like that. She was very, very, very inexperienced on grass heading into Wimbledon last year. She went on the run of a lifetime, and it was honestly a lot of women just kind of getting out of her way and finding ways out of matches, which was quite disappointing, especially for those of us who were cheering for Onsterbor in the final. But we won't reopen those wounds. What I will tell you is that there are probably 10 to 12 women who have a realistic chance to win this title. And Iga has not played yet on grass. It seems like her camp is keeping her in clay form potentially so that she can make a run at the Olympics, which will be back on clay at Roland Garros, where she is the heavy favorite to win gold. And so it's tough to say that, yeah, the 1 seed and world number 1 right now, Iga Swiatek, is going to care even really about winning. That said, could she win? Sure. She's incredible. Everyone could get out of her way the way they got out of Vondrousova's way. So I don't really take any exception to her being the favorite, even though she has not played 1 match on grass so far this season. Sabalenka is a mess right now. She withdrew from Berlin. Do not understand why. She is still dealing with injury / illness from her clay season. Rybakina is a mess right now. Osaka does not deserve this kind of price on grass, in my opinion. We have not seen it from her. Jabeur looks like she's still not put it together this season at all, and has had some lackluster performances on this run up. Andreeva, no pedigree on grass. Vondrousova is nowhere close to where she was last year. Keys is interesting. Raducanu is interesting. Jess Pegula is interesting. Like, these women all have a chance to win this title, which is unreal. And I think at price, I like taking some of these gals who are kind of in this higher tier here, pairing them with the likes of a Coco Gauff at a 7-1 or an Iga at a 3-1-ish type of price. So it's worth maybe kind of giving a little bit of a hat tip to Jess Pegula. She did lose today to Emma Raducanu. Raducanu played really, really, really well, although melted down and then finally stabilized and pulled ahead. But Pegula was awesome last week. She has exactly the right type of game to do well on grass if she's peaking. The problem is she just cannot seem to get by the elite players at slam level. So she's got some demons to slay there, and it's going to need a little bit of help of people getting out of her way. So that could happen. This is going to be a weird one. There's going to be some insane upsets. I'm just going to make a blanket price. There will be a player who is 50-1 or higher who wins their quarter. And I don't know who that's going to be. And we need to see the draw, obviously, but chaos will ensue on the women's side at the ladies' championship at Wimbledon.
Oh, that's exciting. And you guys will be talking about that, you and Jay, on Tuesday's episode next week. So yes. I'm excited to hear who you do go with because, like I said, I'm a fan of Coco Gauff. I know we talk about Sabalenka a lot on this show, too. So that's the 2 people that I was looking at putting a little bit of money on. Excited to hear the breakdown. But if you're
7-1 for Gauff, so I didn't really make the case for why for Gauff. Her game is her game's not especially strong on grass. She doesn't have like a ton of pedigree. She did not do well last year, but she was pretty clearly last year like she was done in Europe. She wanted to go back to America. She wanted to prep to try to win the US Open, which she did. This year there's a lot less pressure on her to do well because she's got the slam title now, and I think like having no pressure and being the 2 seed, she's the 2 seed. She's going to be on the opposite side of the draw of Iga. Will not have to face her until the final if Iga even gets there. That is huge for Coco because Iga has been a bully against her in so many tournaments, particularly on clay. And this could ultimately be an opportunity for Coco to shine. So you want to just I don't have a strong opinion here of who to bet. I'll ride. We'll ride some Gauff. Like, that'll be fun. It'll be a fun bet. Like, she's the 2 seed. She should be shorter than 7-1. And she could very well go on and win this tournament and add a second title to her U.S. Open slam resume.
Let's ride. I'm gonna lock in the 7-1 then, and then on Tuesday's episode, I'm waiting for that 50-1. So I cannot wait to hear what you guys cook up. But it's gonna be a fun Wimbledon for sure, women's and men's side. Sounds like the women's could feature a lot of chaos. But it's also time for the ultimate tryout for the toughest team to make, Drew. Elite athletes from all over the country compete for a chance to join Team USA in Paris. Not only the best will be selected. So watch the U.S. Olympic team trials today through June 30th on NBC and Peacock. Should be thrilling. And we have football up next. We already talked about this on Monday, Drew. What we like, the swimming, the running, the track, the running. But AFC West football, there is a lot of ways we could go with this. Now, I just submitted an article. Mr. Brad Thomas and myself are covering every division in the NFL with one bet on each team, futures bet. So I have 4 actually already ready to go for the show today. But I would like to hear where you want to go first.
Well, AFC West is the easiest handicap of them all.
All right.
One team has Pat Mahomes, 3 teams do not.
Yeah.
One team has Andy Reid, 3 teams have coaches that have a lot to prove that they still have a fastball and can develop players and can, close the gap. So the Chiefs standing at minus 225. Completely reasonable. There are a lot of people who are expecting a kind of an immediate bounce back here of the Chargers because they're expecting a healthy Justin Herbert combined with a stabilization of the coaching with Harbaugh. But I got news for you. Go look at the turnover on that roster and some of the holes that still exist, and they are meaningful. Chargers used their first round draft capital to go fortify their tackle position. Okay. All right. And I think ultimately this is a Chargers team that could threaten for a wild card, but cannot, in my opinion, threaten the Chiefs. So the Chiefs are not a perfect team. There are a lot of things that I take issue with in terms of overall pricing for the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl this year, but to win the West, I think is perfectly fair. So I don't think that the AFC West is where I'm really trying to sow any oats in terms of the insane crazy things that can happen in a given NFL season. What are the 4 that you got locked in? And I guess which one is, do you want me to rate these takes or,
yes, okay. You read my mind. You know how I work already. Yeah. Okay. Now the objective of this too wasn't to be giving out like minus 110 odds. Like these are season long. So we're trying to get, like 4 to 1 or better on all these bets. So these are what I thought could be the best option for backing these teams. So the Chiefs, obviously, Pat Mahomes MVP would be easy, but I went Chiefs Super Bowl. We haven't had a team since 1967 3-peat. So I'd be taking the Chiefs at 5.5 to 1 to win the Super Bowl, 6 to 1 on BetMGM, even better price there. The other bet I wrote about was Justin Herbert to lead the NFL in passing yards at 40 to 1. Obviously, they're not going to have much out there on offense, but they're going to be in a negative game script all the time, Drew. So they're going to be throwing a ton. For the Raiders, Max Crosby, Defensive Player of the Year. I'd only be playing him this year, next year, or the following year. He's entering his prime, poised for his 3rd straight double-digit sack season. Maybe he gets up to 16, 17, 18 this season. And then this is the best one, the most fun one. Denver Broncos, Zach Wilson, to be named the Broncos starting quarterback in week 1 at plus 400 over Bo Nix. I'm not totally sold on Bo Nix being the week 1 starter, Drew.
Okay. But I
wouldn't want to start Zach Wilson either.
Take number 1, Chiefs win the Super Bowl. I think locking in 6 to 1 in the preseason, great strategy. Especially like if that's the only ticket you're going to bet in the Super Bowl market, I'm not loving it. But if you're going to basically put together a portfolio and you're going to start with the Chiefs and expect that them winning the AFC West, which is likely, will shorten their price, and you may even get an AFC 1 seed where again the path to the Super Bowl goes through Arrowhead. Like all of that is awesome. Like that's equity in your pocket, and 6 to 1 is a nice way to kind of start that process. Your Chargers take on Justin Herbert. I find it interesting because certainly Herbert has the gifts to do it, and a negative game state would be awesome. Where I'm nervous about the Chargers is this, this skill position group depth chart is rough. You're going to need a huge leap out of the Quentin Johnson in particular here to be able to have someone that can catch those balls. Now, if he takes a step forward, then you're in good company. Like I like Lad McConkey. I'm fine with Josh Palmer. There's obviously going to be some more stable, repeatable, kind of complementary football with the running game this year and good protection. So any kind of game that the Chargers are at a deficit and, Herbert's asked to go back and chuck it, like, yeah, you're going to have those opportunities. So strong disagreement there. Max Crosby similarly is freaking awesome, and he now has players on that D line with him who are going to draw enough attention so that his production could be very, very good. If the Raiders are winning anything this year, it is certainly because of their defense, and so that's a fun one. I know Jay is super duper high on Parsons for Defensive Player of the Year. I haven't strongly disagreed with them, but I think the Cowboys defense could take a step backward, and that could open up an opportunity where there is sort of discussion for, well, if not Parsons, who? We're tired of the TJ Watt, Myles Garrett back and forth. Like, who else is there? Well, Max Crosby's the easiest obvious answer, and he could win the sack title. So that's a fun one for me. The Zach Wilson one. I don't know where you got this. I don't know where you're coming up with this, man. He's so bad. There was a tiny sliver where he was going to go to Sean Payton and the Broncos, and they were going to fix something in him in the mini camp. I don't think it happened. I think he's stick a fork in him. It's over. And Knicks might not be the starter week 1, but if it's not Knicks, I think it's going to be Stidham. So I'm not rooting against you there. The Broncos look like a hot mess to me, and they may ultimately just roll with Wilson for reasons entirely unbeknownst to me. But I think that's the one I like the least.
Yeah, I mean it's understandable, 100%. I mean, I just think you had the wrong Wilson, Drew. It wasn't ever Russell Wilson. It was all about Zach Wilson. But no, I read some reports that they're saying Zach Wilson has the wider variety of throws he's able to make over Bo Nix. I thought if that's true, that's a problem for the Denver Broncos this season. So I'm with you. I don't like the bet, but I mean, when you're trying to find some plus 400 or better odds on the Denver Broncos, I mean, what you're gonna find.
Yeah, if you're putting a plus money on the Broncos to do anything, I'm probably not gonna like
it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so you needed something weird. I get it.
Yeah, but I'm happy with my Chiefs one. I agree with the Max Crosby take. I think him and Aiden Hutchinson are gonna be the two real youngsters coming up the next few seasons that make a lot of noise. Watch out for anybody on that Eagles defensive line the next few seasons too. But Justin Herbert, he's already had so many injured players, and he's put up 5,000 and 4,700 passing yards in 2 of the last 3 seasons. So maybe a healthy year with him will do that. But we know Harbaugh likes to run the football, but they don't have anyone to run the football, Drew. So we'll see what happens, man. Putting a bow on the AFC West, I'm going to agree. It's the Chiefs at minus 225. Play it. Don't think twice. Mahomes at MVP. Wouldn't talk you off of it. Anything you want to add to this division?
Yeah, I think the kind of interesting thing as you consider the AFC West in a macro sense is, trying to figure out, will the second place runner have a realistic chance at a wild card? Right. And if, that it really comes down to, I think, how you view the Chargers. And, the Chargers are in an interesting place in that they are priced somewhat similarly to last year preseason. A little, we've actually taken a little bit of enthusiasm off of this team. Even though it's a lot of the same players, outside of, kind of specifically the wide receiver room where you've lost Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. And I think the interesting thing about the Chargers is they have a new GM and a new coach who are in this for the long haul, right? Like, there's not going to be a panic, kind of reshuffling of things if it's not going well early for this team. And I don't think they're really, I don't think they're going to be happy about losing necessarily, but I don't think you can necessarily kind of look at them the same way we have with the Chargers in the years past, where it's been so important for them to finally get a breakthrough win, get into the playoffs, get a win in the playoffs, or people were going to get fired. Well, it didn't happen last year, and people got fired. And so the hard reset for the organization is going to be interesting to see how they handle that. That could be positive for them overall, but even more than that, it's the kind of team where if they don't look good early, and if the market tends to sell on them for whatever reason, I am definitely seeing a world where from week 9 on, every week we're bringing it on the table. Like, guys, get some Chargers in your life. Like, they're dogs again this week.
Yeah.
Herbert's playing better. Like, Harbaugh knows what he has now with these guys, right? Like, I think the urgency of them succeeding early is kind of been completely taken away, which to me sets up a nice opportunity for, learning curve early on. Figure out where you work. Who do you have? Who are you working with? Who are your best wide receivers? How are you going to use McConkey? Do you have anything there with Quentin Johnson, or do you have to kick the tires on some of the the Charks and the Davises of the world to see if you can get anything, squeeze any juice out of there, or does Palmer become like a premier option in this offense? And I think by the time we get to November, we could have a lot of those questions answered. And at that point, the Chargers might be finally on a buy low, because right now they look priced correctly, if not a little low to me. Some early struggles would really, in my opinion, help open up some opportunities to bet on this team. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised, because when I saw the -110 price with a rookie head coach, that's something I'm taking. And no, you're missing the playoffs. I'm not going to think twice about it. But the thing is, most teams that are getting a rookie head coach also don't have their franchise quarterback already set in stone. And when you look at the schedule, which I'm looking at right now, there's a lot of very favorable spots. I mean, right out that Week 5 bye week, you get Denver, Arizona, and then New Orleans. That's a nice 3-game stretch coming out of your bye week. And then the last 4 games of the season, 2 home games against Tampa Bay and Denver, then add New England and Las Vegas. Could easily see a situation where Los Angeles looks like they're dead in the water, and then they just pull it out or make a run at the very last second for that last wild card spot. So situationally, I mean, schedule-wise, it works out very well. And I know you do your schedule every single season. Seems like the Chargers probably have a pretty favorable schedule in your metrics.
Well, from week 10 on, I kind of like it. And that does include a tough stretch where 3 out of 4 games you're up against Bengals, Ravens, Chiefs. Like, I get it, but those are your only 3 really tough games from the bye on. And so that's kind of nice.
I agree.
The game I'm most excited about, obviously, is let's renew a little brotherly conflict between Jim Harbaugh and Jim Schwartz. I'm sure you remember, no love lost from when Schwartz was the head coach of the Lions and Harbaugh was the head coach of the Niners, and now Schwartz is your DC in Cleveland, and we'll get a little Harbaugh Schwartz focus, I think, on November 3rd, which will be a fun game. And weirdly enough, like, the Chargers Browns games have been some of the best regular season football games we've had in like the last 3 years. I don't know why, that they always play each other really fun. So excited for that game.
It's going to be a great month of Chargers football in general. They also play the Ravens, so the 2 brothers get to catch each other, the Harbaugh brothers, Monday Night Football. So chess match, great under bet, November 25th. Mark your calendars. 2 brothers going against each other. What could go wrong, Drew? I'm going to be super excited to watch a few games this season, but that one in particular. So best bet from the show today, what might that be?
We're going to say Coco Gauff 7-1. I'm not kidding. Like, I'm really going to go bet this. I think we take a shot here. I don't know that the market is really kind of understands that she's your 2 seed. She's your 2 seed. She's getting the bottom half of the draw with no Iga, and we do not know where Sabalenka could land. We do not know that Sabalenka or Rybakina is anywhere close to competitive strength at this point. So Coco Gauff might have a nice long ramp to really figure out grass tennis before the later stages of this tournament, which would be a ton of fun to have a big old ticket on her. So let's go Gauff.
Let's go. I love that. I'm telling. Mine is Zach Wilson to be Nate. No, I'm just kidding. Corbin Burns win AL Cy Young. Absolutely love it. I think he's going to be a runaway. One of the many guys we've talked about on this episode and our previous episode when it comes to MLB futures winners. So get you some Corbin Burns in your life right now. Get you some Coco Gauff in your life. And you will feel much better in the long run. Don't forget to check out NBCSports.com. Help you out with all your fantasy and betting wagers. Thank you, everyone watching on our NBC Sports YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us. And thank you to everyone watching and our producers backstage. From Vaughn and Drew, see you later.